morning and welcome to the Youth and Children's Ministry Team event of Pajama Storytime. My name is Leanne Easterling. I'm the Director of Early Childhood Ministries here at First Community. We are collecting donations for Pajama Project today. It is their mission that every child have a safe and comfortable bedtime routine, no matter what circumstances their families may be in. I'm glad you could spend some time with us this morning, and I hope your grown-ups can sit back and relax while you listen to stories.
Hi, my name is Erica Carlson. I'm a member of First Community and I love to help out the Early Childhood Council. I have 3 children of my own, ages 8, 6, and 4, and I'm going to sing you a song today that has a book that goes along with it. It's called Two Little Blackbirds from the Music Together program, and highly recommend Music Together if you are a parent of children, young children. All right, here we go. Two little blackbirds sitting on a hill, one named Jack and one named Jill. Fly away, Jack, fly away, Jill. Come back, Jack. Come back, Jill. I think they're building a nest. Two little blackbirds sitting on a hill, one named Jack and one named Jill. Fly away, Jack, fly away, Jill. Come back, Jack, come back, Jill. Look at that, they got babies. I'm bringing strawberries and a worm. Yum, yum, yum. Two little blackbirds sitting on a hill, one named Jack and one named Jill. And 3 babies. Fly away, Jack, fly away, Jill. Come back, Jack, come back, Jill. And their babies learned how to fly too. So that's just a really fun song story that Music Together puts on. And you can do opposites or different rhyming words like two little blackbirds sitting on a cloud, one named Quiet and one named Loud. Fly away, quiet, fly away, loud. Come back, quiet, come back, loud. So that's just a fun way to play with some songs together.
Hi friends, it's Reverend Sarah Keens. Thank you so much for joining us for Pajama Storytime. I'm in my comfy clothes and I hope you are too. I am going to read today Harold Loves His Woolly Hat by Vern Kowsky. Harold loves to wear his woolly hat. Even in the summertime. He wears it when he goes to school. He wears it when he goes to sleep. Harold even wears his woolly hat when he takes his monthly bath. When Harold wears his woolly hat, he knows he is a special bear, different from all the other bears. Then one day, a crow swoops down and steals Harold's woolly hat. Now I look just like all the other bears, thinks Harold. How will anyone know that I am a very special bear? Harold has to win back his woolly hat. He gathers up some wriggly worms and says to the crow, "Let's trade." The crow swoops down and takes the worms and flies them to its nest. "Now please give me back my woolly hat," shouts Harold. But the crow only replies, "Caw-caw, caw-caw." So Harold tries to make another trade. "Here are some tasty blueberries for you." The crow swoops down and takes the berries and flies them to its nest. "Now please give me back my woolly hat." Again, the crow just replies, "Caw-caw, caw-caw." "What a greedy little crow," growls Harold. "I'll never win my woolly hat back." Then he remembers his secret collection of shiny things. "Here you go, you mean old crow. I've got the perfect trade for you." The crow swoops down and takes the things and flies them to its nest. "Now will you give me back my woolly hat?" Once more, the crow only replies, "Caw-caw, caw-caw." There's just one thing left for Harold to do. He hides behind a rock and waits until the crow flies away. Then he sneaks over to the tree, climbs up, up, up to the tippity top, and sees 3 baby crows. Harold tucks the crows in tight, then quietly climbs down from the nest. "Even without my woolly hat," he whispers, "I am still a very special bear." A helpful bear named Harold. And that is the end, with a final page of Harold and the crow watching the baby crows fly away. Thanks for reading Harold Loves His Woolly Hat with me. See you guys later.
Hello, Erica Carlson here, and I'm going to read The Monster at the End of This Book, starring lovable, furry old Grover. Now, my favorite way to read this book, this is a recommendation from my sister years ago, it's best to read this book with a crazy voice like Grover. So, The Monster at the End of This Book, starring lovable, furry old Grover. Hello, everybody. The Monster at the End of This Book, written by John Stone, illustrated by Mike Smolin, featuring Grover, a Jim Henson Muppet, as performed on Sesame Street by Frank Oz, blah, 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 blah. This is a very dull page. What is on the next page? Apparently Grover doesn't like the title page. What? What did that say? On the first page, what did that say? Did that say there will be a monster at the end of this book? Oh, it did? Oh, I am so scared of monsters. Listen, I have an idea. If you do not turn any pages, we will never get to the end of this book. And that is good, because there is a monster at the end of this book. So please do not turn the page. You turned the page. Maybe you do not understand. You see, turning pages will bring us to the end of this book, and there is a monster at the end of this book. But this will stop you from turning pages. See, I am tying the pages together so you cannot... Should we turn it? Let's do it. You turned another page! You do not know what you are doing to me. Now, stop turning pages. We did it again. There. I, Grover, am nailing this page to the next one so that you will not be able to turn it, and we will not get any closer to the monster at the end of this book. Bonk, bam, bing, clonk, bing, bonk. Wood is right there in the box. Lots of wood, lots of nails, hammering and pounding. Woof! He is working really hard. All right, all right, all right. Do you know that every time you turn another page, you not only get us closer to the monster at the end of this book, but you make a terrible mess? Sure do, Grover. This will stop you from turning pages, a heavy, thick, solid, strong brick wall. I would just like to see you try to turn the page. Look at how hard he's working. He's got all the cement and he's laying brick by brick. Wow. Way to work so hard, Grover. But I think I'm going to turn another page. Oh, do you know that you are very strong? Sure do. Do you have big muscles? Can you show your big muscles off? The next page is the end of this book, and there's a monster at the end of this book. Oh, I am so scared. Please do not turn the page. Please, please, please. What do you think? Should we turn the page? Yeah, let's do it. Well, look at that. This is the end of the book, and the only one here is me. I, lovable furry old Grover, am the monster at the end of this book. Oh, and you were so scared. The end. I told you there was nothing to be afraid of. Oh, I am so embarrassed. Oh, Grover, you silly monster. Well, thank you so much for tuning into Storytime today, everybody. Take care and go hug your grown-up because they need lots of hugs. Bye.
Hi everyone, I'm Julie Richards. I'm the director of K-5 Ministry at First Community, and I'm so glad to be here with you today for Storytime. The book I'm going to read is Miss Spider's Tea Party by David Kirk. It's both story and illustrations by David Kirk. And I'm reading this book because when my children, who are adults now, were little, they loved this book. And they loved it so much that I realized when I was looking through it that I still have memorized most of the story and I still remember it. So let's read about Miss Spider. One lonely spider sipped her tea while gazing at the sky. She watched the insects on the leaves and many flying by. If I had friends like these, she sighed, who'd stay a while with me, I'd sit them down on silken chairs and serve them cakes and tea. Two timid beetles, Ike and May, crept from the woodwork that same day, but when Miss Spider begged, please stay, they shrieked, oh no, and dashed away. I wonder why they did that, and I wonder how Miss Spider felt about that. 3 fireflies flew inside that night, their spirits high, their tails alight. They spied the web and squeaked in fear, we'd better get away from here. The little trio did not feel they'd care to be a spider's meal. But if you look down there, Miss Spider is down there in the corner, and she's hiding under a leaf, and she's looking pretty sad. 4 bumblebees buzzed outside. 4 bumblebees buzzed by outside there. Please come to tea, Miss Spider cried. The 4 ignored her swaying there. She waved a tea towel in the air. She took a cup and tapped the glass. Then one bee spoke to her at last. We would be fools to take our tea with anyone so spidery. Within the shadow of the room, just peeking from behind a broom, 5 grinning faces bobbed and peered. Miss Spider smiled. Her heart was cheered. Descending for a closer look, she danced into the gloomy nook, but sadly found those jolly mugs belonged, alas, to rubber bugs. Oh, they stayed, but they were made out of rubber. Some ants strode in, they numbered 6, but ants with spiders will not mix. She brewed them tea from hips of roses. The proud platoon turned up their noses. A fine bouquet concealed its prize of 7 dainty butterflies. Miss Spider, waiting from the wall, was not aware of them at all. The tea table was set for 8 with saucers, cups, and silver plate. The cakes were fresh, the service gleamed, yet no one would arrive, it seemed. Her company in no demand left her a cup for every hand. I wonder how Miss Spider is feeling. 9 spotted moths kept safe and warm in shelter from a thunderstorm. They stood beneath an open sash and watched the jagged lightning flash. Miss Spider dropped down on a thread, a silver tray above her head. She hoped to please them, but instead they flew away in mortal dread. Oh no! They've left me all alone, she cried. She dabbed her eyes and sadly sighed. It's plain no bug will ever stay. Her tears splashed down upon her tray. Ten tiny steaming cups of tea were perched atop her trembling knee. She sipped and sobbed, then heard a cough and turned to see a small wet moth, a fragile thing so soaked by rain, his wings too damp to fly again. I wonder how the moth is feeling right now. She smiled and took a checkered cloth to cloak the frail and thankful moth. They talked and snacked on tea and pie until his tiny wings were dry. Then lifting him with tender care, she tossed him gently in the air. The moth told Ike, then Ike told May, who went from bug to say, there is no reason for alarm. She never meant us any harm. So later on that afternoon, assembled in the dining room, 11 insects came to tea to share Miss Spider's courtesy. I wonder how Miss Spider is feeling now. "12 tender violets in a vase presented at Miss Spider's place, set by her chair so neatly spun, she munched the blossoms one by one. Her friends were glad to watch her feast upon the floral centerpiece. It was a great relief to see she ate just flowers and drank just tea. Miss Spider's reputation grew. Before too long, our hostess knew each bug who crawled or hopped or flew, and all their lovely children too." And there's Miss Spider with all of her friends. The end.
This story is called The Wild Toboggan Ride. The afternoon was crisp and quiet. Nikki pulled her long toboggan to the top of the hill where Grandpa Dan was standing, tapping his boot in the snow. "Come along," he frowned. "I'm chilled to the bone. Fiddlesticks to the snow." "Please, Grandpa Dan, just one more ride," pleaded Nikki. "Oh, fiddlesticks," sniffed Grandpa Dan. "Nasty weather. Will you push me, please?" Nikki begged. "Phooey. This is the last one, then." Grandpa Dan leaned over to give Nikki a tiny push on her long toboggan. As she bent over, he stepped on his extra long scarf and his foot slipped. Bump, oomph, crash. Grandpa Dan landed on the back of the long toboggan with Nikki on his lap. "Yahoo!" yelled Nikki. "Good grief," gasped Grandpa Dan. "How do you steer this thing?" Down the hill they went, gathering speed, with Grandpa Dan's extra long scarf flapping in the wind. "Yahoo!" Nikki yelled again. They reached the bottom of the hill, and the toboggan swerved to the left. "Whoa!" sputtered Grandpa Dan from behind his extra long scarf. "I can't see a thing." Bump, oomph, crash. The baker crossing the street landed on top of Grandpa Dan and Nikki. "Good grief, move up!" yelled Grandpa Dan. "What on earth are you doing, Dan?" asked the baker. "Trying to steer this confounded contraption. Move your head, I can't see a thing." Along the street zoomed Grandpa Dan, Nikki, and the baker, all on the long toboggan. Bump, oomph, crash. The barber, locking up his shop, landed on top of the baker. "Heavens, find your own spot," said the baker. "Quiet down up there, I can't see a thing," yelled Grandpa Dan. Along the street and into the park went Grandpa Dan, Nikki, the baker, and the barber, all on the long toboggan. Bump, oomph, crash. The police chief on his way home from work landed on top of the barber. "Get your foot off my head," said the barber. "Wowza, Dan, do you have a license for this thing?" asked the police chief. "Move up, we're getting squished back here," called the baker. Through the park whizzed Grandpa Dan, Nikki, the baker, the barber, and the police chief, all on the long toboggan. Bump, oomph, crash. The mail carrier with her bag of letters landed on top of the police chief. "Sorry, Chief," said the mail carrier. "Get your own mailbag off my lap and sit down," said the police chief. "This is my spot." "Good grief," Grandpa Dan yelled. "With everybody dancing around up there, I can't see a thing." Out of the park and onto the frozen lake went Grandpa Dan, Nicky, the baker, the barber, the police chief, and the mail carrier, all on the long toboggan. Bump, oomph, crash. A hockey player landed on top of the mail carrier. "Penalty!" yelled the hockey player. "Interference!" "Oh, be quiet," said the mail carrier. "Everybody hold on," yelled Grandpa Dan. "Yahoo!" cried Nicky. Over the ice and straight toward the snowbank went Grandpa Dan, Nicky, the baker, the barber, the police chief, the mail carrier, and the hockey player, all on the long toboggan. Bump, oomph, crash. The toboggan flew into the snowbank, and suddenly bodies were tumbling in every direction. Hats, gloves, and scarves soared through the air. Grandpa Dan and Nicky landed in a bush. The baker and the barber landed in a tree. The police chief and the mail carrier and the hockey player landed in a garbage can. For a moment, nobody moved. Everything was quiet. Then Grandpa Dan and Nicky crawled out of the bushes. The baker and the barber climbed out of the tree. The police chief, the mail carrier, and the hockey player jumped out of the garbage can. Grandpa Dan grabbed the toboggan and began to run across the ice, his extra long scarf flapping behind him. The baker, the barber, the police chief, the mail carrier, and the hockey player looked at each other. Then they started running too. "Wait, Grandpa Dan, where are you going?" yelled Nicky. "If we hurry," he called back, "we can get in one more ride before dark." The end.
Hi, I'm Susan, and I'm going to read The Three Billy Goats Gruff. The Three Billy Goats Gruff, retold by Ronnie, Randall. Once upon a time, there were 3 Billy Goats Gruff who lived on a hillside near a river. There was Little Billy Goat Gruff, Middle Billy Goat Gruff, and Great Big Billy Goat Gruff. They ate grass on the hillside and grew fatter and fatter. One day, the 3 Billy Goats Gruff looked around and saw that they had eaten all the grass on the hillside. "What shall we do now?" Little Billy Goat Gruff asked his brothers. "If we don't find more grass, we will waste away." "There is plenty of yummy green grass over there," said Middle Billy Goat Gruff, looking at a meadow on the other side of the river. "Yes," said his big brother, Great Big Billy Goat Gruff. "All we have to do is cross the wooden bridge, and we can eat to our heart's content." But the bridge was guarded by a horrible, ugly troll. He was green, with a great big head and a bright red nose. There were warts on his skin and hairs on his chin, and his terrible teeth were long and pointy and yellow. And he was very smelly. "Which one of us will be brave enough to cross that bridge?" Great Big Billy Goat Gruff asked his brothers. The 3 Billy Goat Gruff all looked at each other. At last, Little Billy Goat Gruff piped up, "I will cross the bridge." And off he went down the hillside, trip, trap, he went over the wooden bridge. "Who's that trip-trapping over my bridge?" shouted the ugly troll. "It is I, Little Billy Goat Gruff," the goat replied, trying not to breathe in the troll's horrible smell. "I'm just going over to the meadow to eat the green grass." "No, you're not," growled the troll. "I'm going to eat you first." And he climbed up onto the little wooden bridge. Little Billy Goat Gruff was very frightened, but he knew what to say. "I don't think I would make a very good meal for you. Can't you see how little I am? You should wait for my brother, Middle Billy Goat Gruff. He is much bigger and fatter than me. The troll thought about it. All right, he said, you may cross the bridge. So little Billy Goat Gruff went on, trip, trap, across the wooden bridge and skipped into the meadow. As soon as he saw that little Billy Goat Gruff was safe, Great Big Billy Goat Gruff said to his younger brother, it's your turn now. And middle Billy Goat Gruff trotted down the hillside. Trip, trap, he went over the wooden bridge. When he was halfway across the bridge, the smelly troll shouted, who's that trip-trapping on my bridge? It is I, middle Billy Goat Gruff, said the goat. I am just going over the bridge to eat the green grass with my brother on the other side. Oh, no, you're not, shouted the troll. I'm going to eat you first. And he climbed right up onto the little wooden bridge. Middle Billy Goat Gruff was very frightened, but he didn't let the troll see that. There's not much meat on my bones, he said. You should wait for my brother, Great Big Billy Goat Gruff. He's the biggest and fattest of us all, and he would make a much tastier meal for you. All right, said the troll. You may cross the bridge. So middle Billy Goat Gruff went trip, trap, over the wooden bridge to join his brother in the meadow on the other side. At last, it was Great Big Billy Goat Gruff's turn to cross the bridge. Trip, trap, went his hooves on the bridge. Who's that trip-trapping over my bridge? Bellowed the troll. It is I, Great Big Billy Goat Gruff. I'm going to join my brothers and eat green grass in the meadow. Oh, no, you're not, shouted the troll. You're the biggest and fattest Billy Goat Gruff, and I'm going to eat you. And the smelly troll climbed up onto the bridge. Great Big Billy Goat Gruff was not afraid of the horrible, ugly troll, but the troll was certainly afraid when he saw Great Big Billy Goat Gruff. He tried to run away, but before he could, Great Big Billy Goat Gruff lowered his head, stomped his hooves, and with his Great Big Billy Goat Gruff horns, he butted the troll right into the river. The troll went under the water with a great big splash and was never, ever seen again. Then Great Big Billy Goat Gruff went trip, trap, over the wooden bridge to join his brothers in the meadow. The three of them ate yummy green grass and grew bigger and fatter and happier every day. The end.
Thank you for spending time with us. I hope you enjoyed the stories. If you would like to make a donation to Pajama Project, please bring new pajamas and books to our collection bin outside the entrance door at our First Community North location. The address is 3777 Dublin Road, 43221. Have a great day.